You're entering Corsi Nation.
It's Jerome Corsi. Today it is Wednesday. It's November 12th, 2025. A lot happening today. I've noticed now that the Clintons are under investigation for the Clinton Foundation, which really pleases me. I mean, I wrote a book called Partners in Crime. Chris can show the cover of it. I think I wrote that probably about in 2011 or something in that range, maybe even earlier, because I was concerned deeply that Hillary Clinton, with her foundation, the Clinton Foundation, while she was Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton had her private email server, if you'll recall. And I found out, I published that Huma Abedin, her assistant, was publishing classified State Department emails on our Huma Abedin's email account, on our Yahoo account. Anybody could read them that had a username and password. There's Partners in Crime. And what the Clintons did is that they just used the Clinton Foundation as their personal piggy bank. They made millions of dollars from oligarchs and bad people all over the world who wanted to get favors from the State Department. And they were for sale. You want a favor, they'll give it to you. You had to pay, but you got your favor. And it's really a pretty disgusting story when you hear the people who suffered at the expense of the Clintons enriching themselves. People in Haiti with earthquakes, people in Africa who got HIV, AIDS drugs that didn't work because they were made in India and they weren't correctly compounded. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I think the reality here for anybody who followed the Clintons is that they were just basically, petty criminals. They were con artists when it came to charities, and they were running these charities as if they were their personal piggy banks. So I think that this is time now. We're going to start seeing indictments. I think we're going to start seeing indictments of the Clinton Foundation people. I think we're going to see starting foundation. You got criminal indictments from Brennan and Clapper over the Obama. And that's another book I've written. The books I've written are now beginning to happen in terms of people being held accountable. So I wrote a book called Coup d'etat, which is about Obama's coup d'etat. And that's now becoming apparent that it really was a coup d'etat. That the Russian collusion theory was made up was made up entirely by Obama and Hillary Clinton. And it never had any basis in fact. Of course, we were always called the conspiracy theorists, and we didn't agree with it. There's coup d'etat. There's somebody in the cover of that. There's a very kind of dark room in the Oval Office. There's Obama on his telephone, and it says the title coup d'etat. And at that time, I still thought we could save the Trump presidency. I wrote that in 2020, trying to expose this coup d'etat and hopefully have Trump stay in office. But of course, the coup d'etat managed to succeed. He was impeached twice. He was faced trial in the Senate twice. He was acquitted twice. Then we had riots in the street with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And by the way, Chris, let's see it. Antifa's back again with the Charlie Kirk event, Turning Point USA out of Berkeley, California. We have some footage of that, right?
There is a load of footage going out all over the place here. So we want to just maybe run down X here. So many places have it. And let's offer some would call highlights. I guess we could call them lowlights. How about that? This one's from Frontlines. You might have to tell some of our listening audience what's going on here.
You got guys in masks, and this is a crowd, surging crowd, drums, chaos, police. It's just all outside this event, dark.
Look at the masks.
Masks, yeah, they're wearing masks. They want to hide their identity. And shouting, screaming, chaos. Anything they can do. They're screaming demons. It's like a mob from hell.
What else we have here?
Let's see another one.
Next hour, we've highlighted.
Let's see. There you go.
There we go. Shooting. They were protesting at Turning Point, Berkeley.
Got more of that stuff here. Let's see what else we have.
basically just street scenes, chaos, people with masks. They're throwing, I don't know what they're throwing. Like firecrackers or something. Yeah, screaming, yelling. I don't see any fires or anything. They're not, and they're looting or no massive looting. It doesn't look like. Probably nothing there to loot.
Right. This is Berkeley. It's more or less a party, if anything. This is the I guess the Gen Z version of a fraternity party.
What are they saying? Berkeley what?
I'm a fascist out of Berkeley, it sounds like. Don't these people have anything better to do? Maybe study for their final exams in their intersectional studies courses.
How much do their parents pay for this experience?
I'm sure a lot of their parents at this time support this.
I mean, they're paying a lot of money for these kids to go to school, some of them at any rate, and they're out there protesting, throwing it all away.
There are some that say F Charlie Kirk and things like that, but I can't play those due to language issues.
Yes, right. Okay, so we also have the Venezuelan boats. We continue to knock out these drug boats, and it sounds like now other countries are not cooperating to give us data. It's amazing how many countries want to favor drugs. The drug dealers and the cartels get more sympathy for the federal judges than law-abiding citizens. It's just amazing to me how these judges can make the rulings they do. I guess Kenji Brown Jackson and the Supreme Court is extending the SNAP payments for a while. And it's just insanity in terms of I don't know what's going to happen with the tariffs. We're going to get a Supreme Court decision on that pretty soon. If we have to release $2 trillion back in refunds on tariffs, that's going to tank the economy. And we're not in very good shape anyway. The economy right now, gold, let's see where gold is today. Gold is at $4,146. Silver is almost at $52. And do take a look at the, at the CorsiNation.com, the gold tab at the top. Talk to Swiss America, because you can get you can get up to 250 of these coins, these Walking Liberty $50. And they're beautiful coins. They're really extremely well engraved, and the designs are exquisite. They're silver, and they'll appreciate in value. I get up to 250 of them as a first-time offer for basically what they're worth in terms of their silver. So it's a great deal, and you should do it. Okay, as we look over everything going on here, I think what we're seeing is that there's still chaos on the Democrats with the government shutdown. They finally decided they're not going to shut down the government. They're going to open it up again. And, of course, they want now for Donald Trump to be blamed for the shutdown. Of course, it was a Schumer shutdown. The Democrats, I think, miscalculated the impact of it. Chris, what do you think the ultimate impact of the shutdown was?
The shutdown, it basically gave the Democrats a chance to blame Donald Trump before Election Day and get some of these key victories that they were going to get anyway in New York, Cincinnati, Minnesota, Seattle. Seattle's
especially since they could cheat.
Yes. Seattle's still counting, by the way. There are two lefties, the incumbent and some challenger, who gets apparently money from her parents for the child care. they're neck and neck at this point with they can't finish the count in Seattle. But the big ones were New Jersey and Virginia. I suppose if they get enough people angry and out to vote, upset at Trump, they do that. Then they can cave after Election Day, which is what they did. And let's put it this way: I know Republicans are going to use this next year, but people have a short memory.
Well, we've got to have Donald Trump is going to issue this executive order. It is in draft form. and I've gotten copies of the drafts that are circulating, and it's going to be a requirement to have a voter ID. You're going to have to prove your citizenship to vote, and the Democrats their heads are going to explode because they won't be able to steal elections. And I think this is, again, we're in a transitionary period of time. Everybody wants it to happen immediately. Now, let's have the prosecutions of of Brennan and Clapper and Obama and Hillary. Let's get them all in jail. Well, that's not going to happen if that right away. Maybe it'll happen at some point, but not right away. It takes some time to work up to this, and the investigations are going on. The executive order is being written, and it's going to be delivered, but it's going to take a little bit of patience to wait for it to happen. Chris?
Exactly. But they're not going to be able to tell the moderate voter, and even the long time, maybe not the default liberal, but the long time people who voted for the Clintons and are a bit uneasy about today's Democrats, they're not going to be able to tell these people, we're going to allow illegals to vote. We're going to make sure there's no voter ID, because a lot of people clearly believe that only American citizens should vote. And they see what's happening in these cities no matter what. Yes, they're afraid to vote for a Republican, but they're not going to want to have their primaries corrupted, like what happened in New York and what happened, or these runoffs corrupted between two Democrats. This is what you're seeing in I'm not saying it's a runoff, but it's those. It's like what the citywide elections where two Democrats run other front runners, like in Minnesota, or a lot of times what happens for the governorship in California. Or other statewide races. They don't want to see. A lot of these people don't want to see their party go too far to the left. So you're not going to see as much huge support for the a huge, let's just say, quiet protest of not having voter IDs.
Well, it's going to be an issue, and it's going to be an issue that's going to be very hotly debated, and the left is not going to want to do it.
Right.
So I think Trump, now setting up the military in the various cities, is preparing. He has to invoke the Insurrection Act and to run the elections with the armed military, especially if he uses Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief, saying that our elections have been penetrated by the Chinese. If that's the case, he needs to protect the elections, and those powers are not going to allow the courts to do anything about it. Courts will finally be stuck and have to put up with what Trump decides to do.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see if he will. Again, you're right. He's preparing to invoke the Insurrection Act, but there are times when he could have and didn't. I believe the president has shown a lot of restraint. If all things considered, despite what the news media is telling you, he's shown a lot of restraint. But let's see if he has the guts to do it when it's necessary.
Well, and there's a lot going on in positioning with China. There's the whole idea of letting 600 Chinese students come into the United States. Is that mega? I mean, I don't think that's particularly mega. But the point is, Trump is trying to maintain a lot of different spheres of action. And he's succeeding on most of these pretty well, although some of it's yet behind the scenes. It's going to look very different in about 6 months when we get more of these things coming to light and we see exactly what is going on behind the scenes. But as far as I can tell, we're making great progress. Just from the reports we're getting of the people who are being subpoenaed to come before grand juries, including now the Clintons being investigated. I think, okay, so here's a story that's just developing. There's evidently $100 million corruption scandal rocking Ukraine. The Ukrainian forces raided the apartment of Timur Mindich, a businessman associated with Zelensky, or the oligarch had already left the country hours before, likely tipped off by an insider. So Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau says $100 million is believed to have been siphoned off due to a money laundering operation, and other associates were involved. A 15-month investigation, 1,000 hours of wiretapping, and 70 raids, according to this anti-corruption bureau in Ukraine. So if this is the case, the scheme involved forcing and one of the energy companies' counterparts to pay kickbacks of approximately 10 to 15% of contracts in order to avoid having payments for services or goods blocked or possibly losing their status as suppliers. Okay, so it was a kickback scheme, and Zelensky has deep ties with the potential fugitive. So Ukraine's love affair with Zelensky may be over. Kiev Independent is detailing how deeply entwined he is with this Mr. Mindich. Mindich is from the city of Dnipro in central Ukraine. He's a film producer and former business partner of Ukraine oligarch Kolomoisky, who owned Private Bank, one of the ones who's probably one of the more notorious of all the oligarchs in Ukraine. So I guess Zelensky is now finally getting tied up in all this, and this is going to be a threat to his political future. Can't come soon enough as far as I'm concerned. And Russia is moving forward to take these few cities that are on the way to gaining control of Donbass, which I believe Russia will do fairly soon. Okay, so what we're seeing here, I think, is the end of the Ukraine war, simply because Ukraine's lost. And I think the NATO and the United States have just lost the enthusiasm to keep throwing money down this rat hole. But at any rate, I think what we're seeing is going to be now some change coming on fairly quickly, because once Putin takes this Donbass completely, the question is whether or not he's going to go to Kiev. If he doesn't go to Kiev, the war could very easily end right there. That may be the standing in position that Trump was willing to put up with Putin, knowing that they can't give back the territory or gain back the territory from Russia without a nuclear war. We're doing an abbreviated session today. I'm suffering from arthritis pretty badly these days with a change in weather. I'm hoping it'll ease up after that. I've had spinal stenosis surgery in 2008, and I don't think I'm going to be able to have it again. At any rate, what I do know is God always wins in the end, and God's going to win here too. And even though we're seeing riots and Antifa and all the chaos the Democrats can cause, I think Trump is pressing forward in a very resolute way, and he's going to win. We're seeing Ed Martin doing an extremely good job within the Department of Justice, and we finally did get some pardons. So evidently this guy, Todd Blanche, has been at least marginalized or moved aside or told to get out of the way, as the pardons are flowing again. These were in particular for Giuliani and the people who were the Trump electors in the 2020 election. Anyway, today it's November 12th. It's Wednesday. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on CorsiNation.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. And join us in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14. Let's get on our knees and ask God to forgive us for letting everything get to this condition of insanity and anarchy that we're seeing, knowing that in the end, God always wins. God will win here too. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless.